Hey there, fantasy owners. LTC Fantasy here. Not sure if you're chiming in watching via YouTube or listening via podcast, but really do appreciate the watch or listen no matter how you're streaming the episode. Before we get started, do want to mention that we do have a partnership with 247clash.com. Link is in the description there. It's a pools type player versus player fantasy style game that's pretty much made winnable for everyone. So if you go to www.247clash.com, and when you get to the homepage, at the top of the homepage, there's a how to play link. It's a short 50-second video, kind of explains the game a little bit better, and hopefully you sign up using referral code LTC, as that'll help us out, and hopefully it wins you some cash too. Do note it is for Canadian residents at this time. That might change in the future there, but hopefully it does. But for right now, it is for Canadian residents only. So today is our Week 21 strategy episode. So we're going to break down this week's schedule and suggest some players to hopefully help strengthen your fantasy roster and secure that victory for you. Some things to note this week. Your typical light nights. Monday there's 6 games. Wednesday 3 games. Friday only 2 games. Sunday's a heavier light night, but still a light night at 8 games played. 2 games teams this week is only Columbus and Toronto, so 2 games only for those 2 teams. Number of teams have 4 games this week, them being Anaheim, Buffalo, Calgary, Carolina, Chicago, Minnesota, Nashville, New Jersey, Ottawa, Pittsburgh, San Jose, St. Louis, Tampa Bay, Vegas, and Winnipeg. Whole mouthful of teams there. So we will focus on the Monday and Wednesday light nights. We will cover Friday and Saturday a little bit in this segment, but we'll cover it more in depth in our weekend ads episode coming out later this week. We will also cover all teams that play 4 games this week, and as you know, there's a lot of them. We will start out by covering Buffalo and San Jose first because they get a heavy start to the week. They both play 3 games in the first 4 nights there, so it's a way to hopefully get you out to that early lead in your leagues and a chance to hopefully pick up one of those players, maybe drop them on Thursday there. After Thursday's game, pick up somebody that gets 2 games over the weekend, and depending how you use your player ads, get 5 games out of 1 slot there. Then we will cover 4 teams that play 3 of 4 light nights this week. No team gets all 4, but there is 4 teams that get 3 out of the 4. Then we will cover the remaining Monday teams. Then we will cover the remaining Wednesday teams. Then we will cover the remaining 4-game teams that don't play Monday or Wednesday there. So basically we'll get right into it. There's quite a bit to cover here. Some demon that play 3 in the first 4 nights there. Buffalo, maybe look at Owen Power. He's owned in 48% of Yahoo leagues, playing top pairing, top power play unit there. He has 3 points the last 4 games. Couple of those points being on the power play with 9 shots on goal and 4 blocks. With Dahlin on IR, he moves up to the top pairing and top power play unit, and he's producing in that short amount of time that Dahlin's been in the IR. So it should be a pretty nice ad if Dahlin stays out of the lineup there. Over in San Jose, maybe look at Jacob McDonald. Who exactly? Kind of off the radar, but he is owned in 0% of Yahoo leagues, so available everywhere there. He's playing 3rd pairing and on the 2nd power play unit in San Jose, and he has 3 points his last 6 games. And in those 6 games, he has 13 shots on goal, 7 hits, and 8 blocks in there. He is very risky because there's not a lot of runway where he's had some steady success there, but he's been not bad of late. So if you're in a real deep league, he could work out for you potentially. Another one in San Jose to maybe look at is Mario Ferraro, owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing the top pairing for the Sharks there. He only has 1 point his last 11 games, but in those 11 games, he has 18 hits and 25 blocks. So as you can tell, there's basically little to no offense for him, but he will get you a lot of hits and blocks in there, so he could help in some formats there. Moving along to some forwards that play 3 games in the first 4 nights. Start off in Buffalo again. Look at Jack Quinn, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 5% of Yahoo leagues. Playing top line, 2nd power play unit there. And he has 8 points his last 8 games. And in those 8 games, he's also +4. Also has 9 hits in there, throwing the body a bit of late. So with Tuck out, he's playing up on the top line, getting some added opportunity there, and he's doing well with it so far. So he could turn out to be an all-right streamer this week. Another one in Buffalo maybe is Dylan Cousins, listed as a center, owned in 62% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, top power play unit there. He has 9 points his last 10 games, and in those 10 games also has 24 shots on goal. So definitely shooting the puck quite a bit there. He is a bit streaky of late, but overall his offense is good, so he should be a decent streaming option for you. Next one in Buffalo, maybe look at Casey Middlestat. He's listed as a center, only owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues. He's actually playing the wing right now, but only listed as a center. He's playing second line, second power play unit, and he has 10 points his last 10 games there. He's been good, as you can tell there, 10 points in 10 games, and he's getting a shot up in the top 6, so he should be an okay option for your deeper scoring leagues. Last one over in San Jose, look at Logan Couture. He's listed as a center, owned in 47% of Yahoo leagues. He plays top line, top power play unit, and he has 6 points his last 7 games, and in those 7 games, 16 shots on goal, 11 hits, and 8 blocks in there. He really is pretty consistent, even on a pretty crappy Sharks team there, but he's pretty steady in every category there. His plus minus kind of hurts, but should be a really good option in a Cats League for you. Before we do get into the next segment, do want to ask, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so. We're really trying to grow it here. Hopefully you're getting some value out of these episodes. Hopefully it's helping you out in your fantasy leagues for sure there and securing some wins. And yeah, that's my own little personal plug, and we'll get into the next segment. Some D-men that play 3 light nights this week. Start off in Calgary. Look at Noah Hannafin, owned in 60% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing, second power play unit, and he has 4 points his last 6 games. Couple of those being on the power play, and 11 blocks in those 6 games. So he's not bad, not great of late, but pretty steady in most categories. So he's a little risky, but do remember he does have 3 light nights this week. Going over to Anaheim, maybe look at Cam Fowler, owned in 16% of Yahoo leagues, playing top pairing, top power play unit, and he has 9 points his last 8 games. And in those 8 games, he's plus 4, also has 12 blocks in there. So he's been good, and he gets opportunity there, playing top pairing, top power play unit, so he should be an alright ad. Next one I had was John Klingberg, but now he's a member of the Wild there, made this list pre-deadline and recording post-deadline. So in Minnesota, anyways, he's had 7 points the last 7 games. It's a couple points on the power play. He does play on the Wednesday off night this week, so he would have been in this episode just a little later on. So do remember, he does get the Wednesday off night this week, and he's been good lately. He might be okay overall. Hard to see how he fits in Minnesota there, what pairing he's on and what power play unit. But he could turn out to be all right because he was starting to play better in Anaheim before he got traded there. Last one is Seth Jones over in Chicago, owned in 63% of Yahoo leagues. He plays top pairing, top power play unit, and he has 4 points his last 5 games. And in those 5 games, he has 10 hits and 13 blocks in there. He's a good D-man on a bad team. There's no way to really sugarcoat it there. So he is a little bit risky because Chicago obviously got rid of some assets at the deadline there, but he could work out for you. So now some forwards that have 3 light nights this week. We'll start off in Calgary again. Look at Dylan Dubé, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 21% of Yahoo leagues, plays top line, second power play unit there. He has 11 points the last 10 games. In those 10 games, 3 of those points have been on the power play, 21 shots on goal, also threw 19 hits in those 10 games. So he's been a little streaky, but overall he has pretty solid numbers there, so he should be an alright option for you. Another one in Calgary is Jacob Pelche, listed as a left winger, only owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing second line, second power play unit, and he has 6 points his last 7 games. 3 of those 6 points being on the power play with 14 shots on goal and 5 blocks in those 7 games. So he's not bad of late, and if Calgary keeps kind of falling out of it, it should actually work in Pelche's favor. so they should audition him and give him even more opportunity than he's getting right now. Another one in Calgary is Michael Backlund, listed as a center, owned in 44% of Yahoo leagues. That's your shot up there. He's playing third line, second power play unit. He's been pointless the last 3 games, but before that he put up 12 points in a 9-game stretch there. So he's on a little bit of a mini slump, but overall his numbers are pretty good. Should be a solid option with having 3 light nights this week. Over in Anaheim, look at Jacob Silfverberg. Right winger, 0% owned there, playing top line, second power play unit, and he has goals in 3 of the last 4 games with 10 shots on goal there. So he's streaky, but he is scoring recently, so he could help in a real deep scoring league. Another one in Anaheim's Mason McTavish, listed as center left winger, owned in 14% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing second line, second power play unit, and he has 8 points his last 10 games. And in those 10 games, he has 19 shots on goal. He's been not bad and has talent. He definitely has some offensive talent there. And with having 3 light nights, he could work in your favor in scoring leagues. Next one's Max Domi. He's not with Chicago, with Dallas now, but center, left winger, right winger, owned in 58% of Yahoo leagues. Not quite sure where he's going to fit in line-wise and power play-wise yet. But he got traded to Dallas, and Dallas does play on the Monday light night, so he does get an off night. He would again be in this episode just a little bit later on. And you got to remember, he is on a hot streak before he got traded, so he's playing really well beforehand, so he could turn out to be a fairly good streamer on your Monday light night. Over in Winnipeg, maybe look at Blake Wheeler, listed as a right winger, owned in 49% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing top line, top power play unit there, and he has 8 points his last 10 games, 3 of those being on the power play. Oh, excuse me, should have had a nap, but 7 blocks in those 10 games, so a good amount of blocks in there. He's been good pretty much all year there, and should be a good streamer if he's available in your league. Next one over in Winnipeg, maybe look at Nino Niederreiter, listed as a left winger, owned in 21% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, top power play unit. He is getting settled in to Winnipeg there and is slated to play in the top 6 and on that top power play unit there. So he is risky with what you've seen in Nashville, but he seems to be getting a little bit more opportunity, at least to start in Winnipeg. So a little bit of risk-reward kind of a play could work out for you. Now some remaining D-men that play on Monday. Do remember, out of these, Ottawa and Nashville do have 4-game weeks. The rest have 3-game weeks. And for Monday teams, we have already covered Buffalo, Calgary, San Jose, Winnipeg, and Chicago there. So start off in Ottawa. Maybe look at Jake Sanderson, owned in 27% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing, second power play unit. This was before seeing how Chychrun slots in. I believe it's still the same there. He had 1 point the last 5 games, and in those 5 games he was +6 and had 6 blocks. So it is kind of risky with Chychrun coming in, but he does have some talent, and maybe with a better pairing partner, hard to say, it could work out. So only use it if you're in a real deep league. Needs to be a little bit of a runway to see how Chychrun kind of affects Sanderson's value there. Next one's over in Edmonton. Maybe look at Matthias Ekholm, owned in 17% of Yahoo leagues, playing top pairing, second power play unit. He has 2 points his last 4 games, and in those 4 games, +3 and 9 blocks in there. He looked good in his debut. He had a couple of blocks, had an assist there, so he could help in some deeper formats for you. Next one's also in Edmonton. Possibly look at Evan Bouchard, owned in 53% of Yahoo leagues, slated on the third pairing, but on the top power play unit now. He's been streaky, but with Barry gone now, he is manning that top power play unit, and it's the best in the league there, so should be able to hopefully snag some extra power play points and power play production out of him. So he might turn out to be really good in your scoring leagues. Over in LA, maybe look at Sean Dursey, owned in 36% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing, second power play unit there. and he has 8 points his last 9 games. And in those 9 games, 2 of those points were on the power play. Also had 17 shots on goal and 10 blocks in there. He's been really good of late and could be a very good streaming option in your scoring leagues. Next one's over in Washington. Possibly look at Rasmus Sandin. Owned in 12% of Yahoo leagues. Slated to be on the second pairing and top power play unit in Washington. And he should get prime opportunity in Washington, as you're seeing there, and could help out in your deeper leagues. Another one, maybe in Washington's Nick Jensen, owned in 7% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing top pairing for the Capitals. He had 3 points his last 4 games. And in those 4 games, 7 shots on goal, 5 hits, and 6 blocks. He did leave the last game, so do check his status. Not sure how long he's supposed to be available or how long he's out for. But if he is available, he's been not bad of late and could turn out to be an okay streaming option. Some remaining Monday forwards. Ottawa and Nashville do have 4 games, do note that, and the rest play 3 games. And we again have already covered Buffalo, Calgary, San Jose, Winnipeg, and Chicago that play Monday. So we'll start off in Nashville, 4 games this week. Maybe look at Cody Glass, listed as center right winger, owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, playing top line, top power play unit there. And he has 5 points his last 5 games there. Plus 3 in those 5 games with 7 hits and 5 blocks. He's being used more and producing, so he could be a sneaky good option on a light night there. Another one from Nashville is Philip Tomasino. Right winger, owned in 3% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit, and he has 4 points his last 5 games, one of those being on the power play, with 10 shots on goal and 3 blocks in those 5 games. He's been fairly decent since being called up, so he could be an okay option for you on a light night. Another one in Nashville is Thomas Novak, listed as a center, owned in 11% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line up in the top power play unit there, and he has 11 points his last 7 games. Kid's on a hot streak there. 3 of those 11 points being on the power play as well. So he's on a tear of late and should be an pretty good option in your scoring leagues for you with the run he's on. Over in Dallas, maybe look at Wyatt Johnston, listed as a center, owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit, and he has points in 4 straight with 11 shots on goal and 4 hits in there. He's heating up, but with Domi coming over, hard to see if he gets pushed off the second line or not, but he has been hot beforehand, so he hopefully gets at least another couple of games on that line. So, depending how his usage is effective, in a real deep league, he might be an option for you. Another one in Dallas is Evgeny Dadonov, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 2% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit, and he has points in 3 straight, and in those 3 games also fired 8 pucks on net there. He's been pretty good since coming over to Dallas and should be an alright option on a light night. Over in LA, maybe look at Philippe Dagnon, listed as a center, owned in 30% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, second power play unit, and he has 7 points his last 9 games, 4 of those 7 points being on the power play there, and 7 blocks in those 9 games. He is streaky recently, but overall his Cats numbers are okay at the worst there. They're pretty decent, so he could be an okay option in your deeper Cats leagues. Over in Washington, maybe look at Tom Wilson, listed as a right winger, owned in 44% of Yahoo leagues, playing top line, second power play unit there, and he has 6 points his last 6 games with 17 shots on goal and 17 hits there. He's been a force since coming back, and he should be a pretty solid streaming option on a light night there. Another one in the Washingtons, maybe TJ Oshie, listed as center right winger, owned in 34% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, up on the top power play unit. He currently has 7 points in a 4-game point streak, kind of turning back the clock of late. A couple of those points being on the power play, 11 shots on goal and 8 hits in there. So he's been good on this little run, and he should be an alright streaming option for you. Over in Vancouver, maybe look at Anthony Beauvillier, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 15% of Yahoo leagues, playing top line, top power play unit for the Canucks there. And he has 11 points his last 10 games, so just over a point per game. 3 of those points being on the power play. Also has 26 shots on goal and 10 hits in there. It's been a really good fit in Vancouver since coming over from the Islanders there, and should be a nice streaming option for you. Another one in Vancouver is Andrei Kuzmenko, listed as left winger, right winger, up to 51% owned. He's playing top line, top power play unit there, and he has 10 points his last 8 games, and in those 8 games he has 18 shots on goal. He can definitely rack up points there. He definitely gets points in bunches there, so he should be a solid option in scoring leagues especially. Another one in Vancouver is Connor Garland, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 8% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing second line, second power play unit, and he has 5 points his last 5 games. And of those 5 points, 3 have been on the power play, also 14 shots on goal there. He's on a nice small roll of late here, so he could help in your deeper leagues. Now some remaining Wednesday D-men. Do remember, out of these, Minnesota, they play 4 games, and Detroit plays 3 games. We've already covered Anaheim, Chicago, Vancouver, and Winnipeg there. First one I put on the list was Calen Addison. He's 8% owned. He was listed as third pairing top power play unit, but it's hard to see. He might be spending some time in the press box there. With the acquisition of Klingberg, this is obviously going to hurt Addison's value, so honestly, Klingberg's a better option than Addison right now. Addison, you got to make sure he is playing, and it needs to be in a real deep league only now. Over in Detroit, maybe look at Oli Mata, owned in 1% of Yahoo leagues, playing on the third pairing there. He has 3 points the last 9 games, so a little under half point per game there, but 14 hits and 12 blocks in those 9 games there. As you can see, 3 points in 9 games, that's actually pretty good for him. Normally his offense is basically slim to nil, but he does get you hits and blocks, so he will help in some deeper formats there for you. Now some remaining Wednesday forwards. Do remember, Minnesota has 4 games, Detroit has 3 games, and that we have covered Anaheim, Chicago, Vancouver, and Winnipeg already here. Start off in Minnesota. Look at Ryan Hartman, listed as center right winger, owned in 33% of Yahoo leagues, plays top line, second power play unit, and he has 7 points his last 7 games. In those 7 games, he's +5, 20 shots on goal, 7 hits, and 7 blocks in there. He's been decent on that top line and should stick around there, and should be an alright streaming option on a light night. Over in Detroit, maybe look at David Perron, listed as a right winger, owned in 50% of Yahoo leagues. He plays top line, top power play unit, and he has 6 points his last 9 games, with 22 shots on goal, 4 power play points, and 16 hits. He's okay, not great. If you're in a pinch, you could get some value out of him. Next one, well, he got traded recently too, is Tyler Bertuzzi, now with the Boston Bruins, but listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 31% of Yahoo leagues. Not sure how he's going to fit in with the Bruins, but he was on an okay roll before the trade. One thing to note with Boston, they don't play till Thursday this week, but they do finish with 3 games in the final 4 nights. So if you're looking at Bertuzzi, leave it till a little bit later on in the week there. So now we'll look at some 4-game D-men that don't play on Monday or Wednesday. Start off in Carolina. Look at Shane Gostisbehere, owned in 40% of Yahoo leagues. Projected to be on the third pairing, second power play unit. He should fit in well in Carolina. They're pretty deep there. He's been fairly consistent when he has been healthy there, so he should be an okay streaming option for you. Over in New Jersey, maybe look at Ryan Graves, owned in 25% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second pairing for the Devils there, and he has 5 points his last 8 games. And in those 8 games, he's +6, has 18 shots on goal and 19 blocks in there. He gets some occasional offense. He has little blips on the radar, so to speak, but he does get you shots on goal and blocks, so he could be an alright option in some formats. Over in Pittsburgh, maybe look at Jeff Petrie, owned in 53% of Yahoo leagues, playing second pairing, second power play unit there, and he has 7 points his last 7 games, and in those 7 games, he's +6. He has 20 shots on goal, 22 hits, and 10 blocks. He's been really good of late and should be a solid streamer if he is available. Another one in Pittsburgh's Marcus Pettersson, owned in 4% of Yahoo leagues. He's playing second pairing for the Penguins there, and he has 6 points his last 4 games. And in those 4 games, he's +4 with 10 hits and 10 blocks. He's not known for offense, but he's on a nice little run these last 4 games there. If you're in a real deep league, he might be worth a gamble. And if you're a Cats league, at least you know you're going to get some hits and blocks out of him. Now some remaining 4-game forwards that don't play on Monday or Wednesday this week. Start off in Carolina. Maybe look at Seth Jarvis, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 35% of Yahoo leagues. Should be on the top line, second power play unit there. And he has 7 points his last 6 games. And in those 6 games, he's +7 and has 20 shots on goal there. He is streaky, but he is shooting the puck a lot more and is on the top line there. So with that, it kind of points to hopefully getting a few more points there. He's risky, but could be worth the gamble there. Over in New Jersey, maybe you look at Thomas Tatar, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 13% of Yahoo leagues, playing top line, second power play unit, and he has 6 points in a 3-game point streak right now with 5 hits in there. He's on a small roll, but that small roll, he's really hot in these past week here, so he could be a great option in deeper leagues. Another one for the Devils is Dawson Mercer, listed as center right winger, owned in 46% of Yahoo leagues. He's up on the top line, second power play unit there, and he has 14 points in a 7-game point streak. +9 in those 7 games, 22 shots on goal, also 4 blocks in those 7 games, so a little bit of added value there for you. But he's on an unreal tear, and basically a must-add if he's available in your leagues. Over in Pittsburgh, maybe look at Jason Zucker, listed as a left winger, owned in 23% of Yahoo leagues, playing on the second line, second power play unit. He has goals in 3 straight games and two goals the last game, so 4 goals in those 3 games. He is streaky but hot at the moment there, so he could help you out in some scoring formats. Another one in Pittsburgh's Brian Rust, listed as a right winger, owned in 49% of Yahoo leagues. He plays second line, second power play unit, and he has 4 points his last 5 games. And in those 5 games, he's +3, has 12 shots on goal, 8 hits, and 6 blocks in there. He's been up and down, but he's been up recently there. So a little risky, but should hopefully be an okay option for you. Another one in Pittsburgh's Mikael Granlund, new acquisition there, listed as center right winger, owned in 15% of Yahoo leagues, playing third line, second power play unit, and he has 6 points his last 5 games. And in those 5 games, also has 12 shots on goal. He's not sure how the trade really affects and how he slots in yet and how it might affect his fantasy value, so there is some risk involved, but in deep leagues, he might be an alright option for you. Over in St. Louis, maybe look at Robert Thomas, listed as a center, owned in 53% of Yahoo leagues, playing second line, top power play unit there, and he has 8 points his last 10 games. He's been streaky recently, but he's usually hovering right around that point per game, so he should be a good option in your scoring leagues. Over in Tampa Bay, maybe look at Alex Killorn, listed as left winger, right winger, owned in 27% of Yahoo leagues, playing top line, second power play unit. He's put up 10 points his last 11 games. So overall, 10 points in 11 games, but 9 of those 10 points have been in 4 multi-point games there. So he's kind of feast or famine, but he could pay off in your scoring leagues if you catch him at the right time. And the last one's Anthony Chiarelli, listed as center left winger, owned in 16% of Yahoo leagues, playing on that second line in Tampa. He has 9 points his last 11 games. 24 shots on goal in those 11 games and 9 blocks. It's been pretty good offense the last few weeks there, and he could help in your deeper Cats leagues because he does get you some blocks in there, some shots on goal. If face-off wins are counted, he does win you the odd draw there, so could work out for you. That's it for today's episode. If you're watching via YouTube, please remember to hit like, hit subscribe, remember that notification bell. If you're listening via podcast, please remember to give us a 5-star review. That helps grow that podcast there. Don't forget to check out 247clash.com. If you do just sign up, please use referral code LTC, as that does help us out behind the scenes. And good luck there, fantasy owners. Hope you enjoyed the trade deadline, and good luck the rest of the way in your leagues.